Hello, hello, and welcome home to Silver City Community Theater Radio Hour right now, right here on Gila Members Community Radio, KURU 89.1 FM, Silver City, New Mexico, online at gmcr.org. I'm Wendy Spurgeon, your hostess here with weekly radio theater entertainment meticulously edited and crafted by Chris Wellman of Mystic Way Productions and featuring the fresh, locally sourced talent of Silver City Community Theater. Welcome back. Silver City Community Theater Radio Hour has a new program on Kuru. We are super excited to be connecting with you today this is our fourth episode of season 1. We're wrapping up our first month here on Kuru. It's been quite a blast. Oh my gosh. Let's see. We opened our first episode with the Bickersons and Little Orphan Annie. We enjoyed a soap opera, Amanda of Honeymoon Hill, and featured artist Sarah Thrasher in The Littlest Angel. And then last week, we were just blown away by the Aldo Leopold Charter School 6th grade drama class monologues and performance in Arch Oboler's Miss American. And hey, if you're just finding about this now, if you'd like to hear any of these great episodes again, you can catch the replays at www.silvercitycommunitytheater.com under the events tab. But you are here just in time to catch today's show. Yay! Okay, SCCT Radio Hour presents classic sci-fi serial Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, Episode 1, followed shortly by the Bickersons, the tax refund episode. Okay, full confession. All right, I was born in 1970. So by the time the 1979 Buck Rogers TV series aired, I was all about it. I think it was the metallic lycra jumpsuits, the costumes, they were just very shiny and fun. And I love the character of Wilma Deering. And there was that cute little robot character, remember Tweaky? What did he used to say? He used to go, bitty, 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 bitty. This is so cute. I just remember that was so fun. Well, according to Wikipedia, the series starred Gil Gerard as Captain William Buck Rogers, a United States Air Force and NASA pilot who commands Ranger 3, a space shuttle-like ship that is launched in 1987. When his ship flies through a space phenomenon containing a combination of gases, his ship's life support systems malfunction, and he is frozen and left drifting in space for 504 years. By the time he is revived, he finds himself in the 25th century. There he learns that Earth was united following a devastating global nuclear war that occurred in the late 20th century and is now under the protection of the Earth Defense Directorate, headquartered in New Chicago. The latest threat to Earth comes from the spaceborne armies of the planet Draconia, which is planning an invasion. Co-starring in the series were Aaron Gray as crack starfighter pilot Colonel Wilma Deering, and Tim O'Connor as Dr. Elias Hewer, head of the Earth Defense Directorate and a former star pilot himself. But hey, kids, I found out it was a novella and a radio serial way before that. There was even a Looney Tunes spinoff. Daffy Duck did Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. There's just things you remember when you're born in a certain time. But that cry, the Buck Rogers in the 25th century, was the cry that opened the radio versions of this classic American sci-fi adventure series. First created for a novella in Amazing Stories in 1928. Buck thus predates Flash Gordon by a good 6 years, which is why I suppose we sometimes consider crazy futuristic gadgets to be Buck Rogers and not Flash Gordon. Buck took to the radio waves several times, first in 1932, and then in 1939, and a final time in 1946. And the character also appeared in movie serials and TV shows like the one I used to geek out on. So we had a really great time putting this one together for you. I'm going to give you like a little behind the scenes. So the way we put together these episodes over Zoom, they take a lot of time because first we do the first initial recording with the actors, and we do try to test their audio and make sure the signal's really strong. But with this one, we had to schedule some redubs because the first recording just there were places that came through that were you just couldn't quite understand what the actors were saying. So we had to schedule some redubs, and we were able to catch Ted Pressler. He's our announcer. So we were able to get him re-recorded with a better mic. He's great, though. I'm sure a lot of you out there know Ted. He's done lots of shows with SCCT, and he teaches a film appreciation class at the university. He's just got great energy, a big voice on the stage. His challenge is holding his voice back for the radio. That's my challenge too. I'm like, the more I'm doing this, the more I'm like, oh yeah, you got that stage training. You're always projecting. You're always like super enunciate, which is like what you want when you're a stage actor. On radio, you gotta bring it back. So Ted and I both work on that as actors, and I think you're gonna agree he did a great job. And the announcer talks with a fun little character called Popsicle Pete. Now, we originally had Tennille Solberg. She's one of my drama students at Aldo in the role. But yeah, we couldn't catch her for the redubs. We needed to do some redubs with her. We weren't able to get her scheduled in time. So disclaimer, I had to jump in at the last minute with my rendition of Popsicle Pete, which is all right in a pinch, but I wish you could have heard Tennille. In fact, actually last week, Tennille's class did some monologues. They were really, really amazing. And I think you should check them out. Yeah, I recommend you give a listen to Tennille's monologue from last week's episode on silvercitycommunitytheater.com when you get a chance. She's so talented. Yeah, look out for Tennille. Yeah, we're going to see a lot of her, hear a lot of her in years to come, I predict. As Dr. Hewer, we have Mel Gelb with a great character voice, a great Dr. Hewer voice. You'll hear in the show, I'm doing my best 1930s version of Wilma Deering. And as Buck Rogers, we've got Monty Valenzuela. Now, Monty is great to work with. He has a ton of energy, talented young actor, still in high school, always up to a challenge. He's even a new board member of SCCT. Look out for you're probably going to see Monty on TV or film someday. This is very exciting. So anyway, okay, without any further ado, we are going to take you way back in the past and then slingshot you way, way into the future with an episode of Buck Rogers in the 25th century. And you're hearing this on Gila Members Community Radio, KURU 89.1 FM, Silver City, New Mexico, online also at gmcr.org.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century. Buck Rogers is back on the air. Buck and Wilma and all their fascinating friends and mysterious enemies in the super scientific 25th century. This program is brought to you by the makers of Popsicle, Fudgesicle, and Creamsicle, those delicious frozen confections on a stick. Now, I have a swell surprise for you. the famous winner of the typical American Boy contest, has now become Popsicle Pete, and here's a message from him.
Hello, everybody. I'm sure glad to meet you. And boy, was I glad to be picked to be the typical American boy, because now I'm Popsicle Pete. I always wanted to be on the radio, and now I have a chance to tell you about some wonderful presents you can get free. Oh, gee, you ought to see them. Hundreds of them. You can get them just for saving bags from nifty popsicles, fudgesicles, and creamsicles. Some gifts, even better than Christmas. You can get a wristwatch, a movie camera, table tennis, a wallet, a doll. Gee, lots of gifts. Just save the bags from popsicles, fudgesicles, and creamsicles on a handy stick. Boy, do they taste good.
Wholesome too and nourishing, made fresh every day of the finest ingredients, the biggest 5 cents worth anywhere.
And say, kids, get the free illustrated popsicle gift list at your ice cream store. A free coupon comes with it, worth 10 bags.
And now for Buck Rogers and his thrilling adventures 500 years in the future. As you probably know, Buck was born right here in our own times, in this 20th century. And the story of how he got started in his amazing ventures so far in the future is mighty interesting. But instead of telling you about it, let's turn the dial that will project us ahead in time and find out all about it that way. Now, the capital of the 25th century America is Niagara. And there it is that Dr. Hewer, the great scientist, has his marvelous laboratory. In one room of it, he's working on a strange-looking device that sends a peculiar greenish light down upon a human figure lying on a table before him. Shall we join him there? Okay, then, here we go, 500 years into the future.
The ray is putting you to sleep. To sleep. Relax and sleep. 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 Good. The ray's had its effect. Now I can go ahead and... Yes, come in. Oh, hello, Wilma.
Hello, Dr. Hewer. My, why don't you have more light in here? Coming in from outside, I could hardly see a thing in this spooky greenish glow.
Part of a little experiment I'm conducting.
Oh.
But tell me, have you seen anything of Black Barney here in Niagara?
Why, no. Hasn't given up his job of Prime Minister on Mars, has he?
Oh, no. But one of his Martian rocket ship factories has worked out a new control device for me. I rather hoped he'd get here with it today.
Oh.
Meantime, I've made ready for final tests on this little invention here. Like to stay and see it?
I'd love to, Doctor. And you know it? But I just dropped in to find out if you'd seen any sign of...
Oh, what's the matter?
Doctor, what's happened to him?
Huh?
Is he all right, Doctor?
Oh, I see.
What's happened to him? Why is he lying here on this table?
Now, don't worry, Wilma.
Don't worry. Doctor, what are you...
He has offered to be the subject of my test. That's all.
But then, why is he...
He's simply lying here, comfortably asleep, under the influence of my electro-hypnotic ray.
Oh, I was afraid something had happened to him.
Not a thing. Surely you don't think for a minute that I do anything to harm...
No, of course not. But the electro-hypnotic ray, are you sure this experiment won't hurt him in any way?
Oh, absolutely sure.
Well, you can't blame me for being a little shocked for a minute. But What's that thing up near his head that looks like a miniature power plant with a loudspeaker on the top of it?
That, Wilma, is my latest scientific achievement. My newly perfected electro-hypno-mentalophone.
Your what?
Well, you remember the mentaloscope, don't you?
Why, sure. When you put a person under the mentaloscope, all his memories showed up on a sort of moving picture screen.
That's right. And this is an adaptation of it. With this, the electro-hypno-mentalophone, the memories of the subject will come to us verbally through the loudspeaker here. Provided, of course, that my calculations have been correct.
Sort of read a person's mind aloud, you mean?
Yes, that's it, exactly.
Where do you ever get ideas for things like this, Dr. Hewer? Surely people don't just barge in and ask for you to work them out.
Hardly. The scientific research that led up to the development of this machine was started way back in the 20th century.
Why, I always thought that people back in the 20th century weren't much better than savages. And what they knew about scientific things.
Oh, no, not at all, Wilma. You owe a great deal to the scientists of those days. Were it not for the great work laid down by men like Einstein, Fitzgerald, Compton, Millikan, and the rest, why, we'd be without a great many of the things we have today.
They never really got anywhere with rocket ship development or anything like that, though, did they?
Well, successful rocket flight depends on two things that have been brought into existence only recently.
One of them must be inertron.
Yes, inertron, the material that defies gravity and makes it possible to lift a big spaceship off the Earth and away from its terrific gravitational pull without too much wasted power.
And what's the other?
Impervium, the only metal capable of withstanding the high pressure of rocket blasts for any length of time.
Oh.
But now, let's go ahead with this experiment.
Yes, let's. And you can tell me how this apparatus works as we go along, and just what it does to him.
Well, not very much to tell you about the apparatus itself, Wilma, except that here, in this little pad under his head, is an extremely sensitive and high-frequency response piezoelectric oscillator of quite complicated design.
Yes, I guess so.
Yes, and I succeeded in tuning it to receive the minute electric impulses that emanate from his brain.
Yeah. Okay.
Through the medium of a super radiating protonoformer.
Yes. Oh, I see. A what?
In other words, we're able to obtain sufficient amplification of the impulse output to register audibly through a process of thermomechanic node magnification. And that's all there is to it.
I think I'll understand it better when I see this thing work.
I shall be very much disappointed if it doesn't.
Don't you worry about that, Doctor. Your inventions always work.
I have been rather lucky in most of my experiments, haven't I?
Lucky?
Now let's proceed with this one.
All right. Anything I can do to help?
No, thanks. First of all, we have to switch in the electronoformer.
That electronoformer makes a sort of eerie sound.
Yes. And now, when I switch on this microphone and speak to him, my words will be registered directly on his brain. Not through his ears, you understand, but directly on his brain.
Uh-huh.
And if we're successful, we'll receive his subconscious response through the loudspeaker.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Now, young man, What is your name? I said, what is your name?
Buck Rogers.
Wilma, it works.
But Doctor,
My invention's a success.
Doctor, what happened?
It works even better than I thought it would.
He didn't even move his lips, though. How could we hear him talk if he didn't move his lips?
It read his mind aloud, Wilma. It reads his mind aloud.
It sounded like his real voice, though.
Well, of course, because he thinks of speech in the same manner that he utters it.
Great day! It doesn't seem possible. Ask him some more questions.
Yes, by all means. Listen. Buck, you were born back in the 20th century, were you not?
Yes, sir. But this is the 25th century.
You see, Wilma? His memory is preserved intact.
May I ask him a question?
Surely. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Buck, how did you happen to come to the 25th century?
One day in the year 1919, I was in the lower workings of an abandoned mine near the city of Pittsburgh.
Yes?
When all of a sudden, the ports that held up the walls and ceiling gave away, and the whole thing caved in on me.
Yes?
Some kind of peculiar gas was released. It put me to sleep. It kept me in a state of suspended animation for 500 years. Then the ground shifted and let in fresh air, and I woke up.
Well, how did you know you were in suspended animation for 500 years?
Instead of the year 1919, it was the year 24-something. To be exact, it was 24.
Don't you know what year it was?
I was told about it by Lieutenant Wilma Deering, a beautiful girl soldier I met when I first came to.
Oh, then you knew Wilma Deering.
Doctor,
I certainly do. She's the finest and bravest girl who ever lived. Why, Wilma's...
Buck Rogers.
Yes.
Did you find anything new or different when you first came into the 25th century?
Oh, a great deal, thanks to Dr. Hewer.
Dr. Hewer?
Why, the greatest scientist who ever lived.
What's that?
Nowhere in the universe is there a scientist who's done so much good for humanity, or done anything that could even begin to...
Now, wait a minute, Buck.
Yes,
Just forget about Dr. Hewer and go on with what you were saying.
but he's the man who invented the first rocket ship that took us to the moon. And it was that trip that proved the practicability of the interplanetary flight.
Proved the practicability of interplanetary flight. Nothing wrong with this machine, Doctor.
Where else have you gone by rocket ship, Buck?
Well, first to Mars, where we helped King Arnaldo put down an invasion by the Martian Tigermen, then to Saturn, and to the Saturnian moons, Venus, Jupiter, and even far-off Pluto.
Which planet did you find most interesting?
Well, that's hard to say. Jupiter has the biggest field for exploration, simply because it's so much larger than the rest of the other planets.
Very true. Do you expect to do any more rocketing around through outer space?
There's nothing else I'd rather do, sir.
Well, do you like my little contraption?
It's wonderful, Doctor. I told you it would work.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to ask, Buck? I mean, before I turn off this green ray.
Let's wake him up and see if he remembers anything that happened during the experiment.
All right. Go ahead.
All right. Come on, Buck. Wake up. I say, wake up. You've been asleep.
Asleep.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Hello, Wilma.
Hello.
Where do you come from? What are you doing here?
I've just been let in on the test of Dr. Hewer's
Electro-hypno-men-telephone.
Yes.
Oh, doggone it. Instead of helping you with your test, I fell asleep. Say, I'm awfully sorry, Doctor.
Sorry?
Well, yes, sir. I was gonna help
I
out.
put you to sleep with this machine.
Oh, really?
Right.
I guess that one's on me. And how did it work?
Even better than I expected.
Well, good.
Oh, it was marvelous, Buck. You told us your whole life history without even opening your mouth.
Hey, now. Hey, wait a minute.
It's all right, Buck. You didn't say a single thing you shouldn't have.
Thank goodness for that. Say, let's put Wilma under it.
Oh, no, you don't.
You have to do something for excitement around here. Come on, Wilma.
You're never satisfied unless there's something exciting going on. Are you, Buck?
Well, it's not as bad as all that, Doctor. But we have been sort of slow around here lately.
Wait till we start making tests of the new type of gyrocosmic relativator I've just devised.
A new one?
Isn't that the equipment on the rocket ship that makes it possible to take off without much loss of time for pickup?
That's right. And without the usual physical effects of too quick acceleration, it removes from your ship the normal effects of weight and inertia and momentum and the like.
Well, how have you improved the relativator, Doctor?
Buck, if this new instrument does what I hope it will, there'll be practically no limit to the speed of a rocket ship immediately upon taking off.
Good night. Imagine getting into the control cabin, opening the power level, and going a couple of 1,000 miles an hour, just like that.
That's exactly what we'll be able to do,
But
Wilma.
that hardly seems impossible, doesn't it? But what can we test it out, Doctor? Have you already got it installed in a rocket ship?
No, Buck. As a matter of fact, I don't even have it yet.
Huh?
Oh, it's been made up all right. The one we use for the test, but it isn't right here yet.
I don't understand, Doctor.
Why, yes, sir. Can't we get it here? The sooner we can get it and start trying it out, the sooner we can break the monotony of just sitting around and doing...
Wait, Buck, listen.
Yes, Doctor. I hear it too.
Why, yes, but what under the sun is it?
Look here, out the window.
Good heavens, Wilma!
It's coming right down this way.
Wilma!
Buck!
Say, Buck's wish for excitement certainly came through in a hurry. Great day. I wonder what that was. And I certainly hope he and Wilma and Dr. Hewer are all right. What do you say, Pete?
Well, I know what would make me feel all right. A great big frozen fudgicle. Jiminy, can you imagine anything better than that fresh, creamy chocolate fudge frozen ice cold on a stick?
Fellows and girls, what's the best, purest nickel's worth you can get? Right, a fudgesicle, delicious and full of helpful energy, made only from pure milk products, swell to eat and easy to digest. Don't forget to save the bags for those wonderful free prizes. Exciting gifts like cameras, dolls, sweatshirts, gorgeous jewelry, and lots of other things.
And listen, kids, be sure to get your free Popsicle gift list at your ice cream store. Don't take no for an answer.
Hooray! Okay, wasn't that awesome? Great job, Monty, Mel, and Ted. If you're just tuning in now, my name's Wendy Spurgeon, and you're listening to Silver City Community Theater Radio Hour with an homage to the golden age of radio. You can catch some of our past episodes at www.silvercitycommunitytheater.com under the Events tab. And you're hearing this at Gila Mimbres Community Radio, KURU 89.1 FM, Silver City, New Mexico, online at gmcr.org. Coming up next, we have another blast from the past. It's the Bickersons. But before we share that, I want to thank and acknowledge Chris Wellman of Mystic Way Productions for the audio editing and special effects. This show would not be possible without you. Thank you, Chris. And we'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the 2020 sponsors that helped out SCCT last year when we were unable to fulfill live in-person theater performances. Thank you to First American Bank, First New Mexico Bank, Adobe Springs, Moronis and Knutson LLC, Revel, Silver City Food Co-op, Jose Velasco Hearing Aids, Advanced Air, J&S Plumbing, Tom Blanchard, Sissy McAndrew, Carney Foy, Melinda's Medical, Mountain Ridge Ace, Furniture Gallery, Copies on the Run, and Western Bank. These are some of the theater angels of Silver City and Grant County. Thank you for your support through the challenging theater landscape of 2020. If you are curious how you can support community theater in Silver City, go to www.silvercitycommunitytheater.com and click on the Volunteers, Members, and Sponsors tab. We need you to be the community in community theater. It takes us all to create these stories. And you know what? We are optimistic as more people are receiving their vaccines that we will be able to offer live theater performances, workshops, and casting opportunities for our community in the near future. So stay tuned for a possible theater in the park experience, perhaps even as soon as this summer, or perhaps a short program, short plays for Halloween. As I learn more, I will be sharing it with you right here on SCCT Radio Hour. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, no need to be on hold any longer because we're holding auditions for radio voices. Yeah, we want to broaden the talent pool. We want to bring in fresh energy, fresh voices. Here's your chance to perform in a low pressure, highly creative radio program recording from the comfort and safety of your home. Because you zoom in your voice. And you know what? Your actor friends from out of town, they can zoom their voices in too. Yeah. So it kind of broadens the whole concept of community when you're working with internet and radio. Auditions are on Saturdays from 10 to noon Mountain Time. And we're going to go through the end of June now. We've been holding auditions every Saturday through May. We're going to continue through the end of June, again, to broaden our talent pool, bring fresh voices and energy to SCCT Radio Hour, and then perhaps to live performances. So yes, stretching out. For information and to sign up, go to thewayofTruth.live/radio. Our auditions, they're very fun and low stress. Please bring your favorite monologue and or song. Keep it short, under 2 minutes. There's no need to memorize and there's no need to be on camera. In fact, when the camera's on, it weakens the bandwidth. So we don't have to see you. We just need to hear you. We'll be listening for the quality of your audio and a solid vocal presence. Now, you may receive an email with scripts and the original recordings of some radio shows in advance so that you can prepare for cold readings during the auditions. And once cast, Actors will receive scripts, songs, and recordings at least a week prior to the recording. You'll have an opportunity to rehearse with scene partners. And seriously, it's so much fun. So again, for audition information and signups, go to thewayoftruth.live/radio. We hold auditions every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon Mountain Time. Or if Saturday mornings aren't good for you, no problem. You can email directly to schedule an audition appointment that works for you. You'll find my contact information is also available at thewayoftruth.live/radio. So we'll see you in the Zoom room. But now, without any further ado, SCCT Radio Hour and Mystic Way Productions present The Bickersons Tax Refund episode, which aired circa 1946. So John and Blanche were the battling Bickersons, a comedy with a one-joke premise but an infinite number of clever variations. Band singer Frances Langford and radio actor Don Amici handled the brilliant timing author Phil Rapp's genuinely acerbic scripts. Many people don't realize that there wasn't actually a show called The Bickersons. The contentious couple first appeared as a recurring skit on the Chase and Sandburn Hour in 1946 and moved over to Dreamtime in 1951. A later series of comedy LP adaptations kept the characters alive well past radio drama's demise. An immense number of later subsequent situation comedy shows, from The Honeymooners to Married with Children, owe a great debt to John and Blanche's nightly battles. In our SCCT Radio Hour homage, we are lucky to have two fine comic actors, Mel Gelb and Liz Michaels, as John and Blanche. Monty Valenzuela is our announcer, and Greg Bond voices Dr. Hershey in this Bickersons episode titled The Tax Refund. Enjoy!
The Bickersons never tire. Poor husband John, a chronic insomniac, and suffering from slugger's disease, struggles during an acute patch of his ailment, while Blanche Bickerson attempts to describe his symptoms over the phone to Dr. Hershey. Listen.
This is worse than ever, Dr. Hershey. Can't you come over?
Mrs. Bickerson, it's almost 3 o'clock. I'm sure his condition is pretty good. I'll come over in the morning.
But he might recover by morning. I wouldn't want that to happen.
What?
Wait a minute. I'll carry the phone into the bedroom, and you can hear what John's going through. Hear that?
I can't hear your husband on account of those fire engines.
That's my husband.
What? Incredible. Tell him to do it again.
I don't have to. He will.
Mrs. Bickerson, there's only one thing.
Just a minute, Doctor. Wait until I get the phone out of the room. Now, what were you saying?
It's definitely a post-run condition, and that roaring indicates he's a mouth breather.
Maybe. But John isn't breathing through his mouth.
What makes you so sure?
I taped it shut with plaster.
That isn't wise, Mrs. Bickerson. I'd rather you tape his nostrils. It's less dangerous.
I tried that last night. I think my husband snores through his pores. I'd give anything if you could cure him.
There's only one course of treatment, but it's very expensive. It'll be $200 down and $25 a month for 11 months, plus charges for extras.
Sounds like buying a new car.
I am.
Good night, Dr. Hershey.
Maybe John's quiet now.
John, turn over on your side. Go on. John, stop making that silly noise.
I forgot the adhesive tape.
What's the matter with you, Blanche? Who taped up my mouth?
I put it on you to stop you from snoring.
Oh, I never heard of such a thing. You had to go and tape up my mouth just when I'm raising a mustache? Pull out every hair.
That's too bad. You caused me enough suffering. I'd rather lose your mustache than lose my sleep.
What's the matter with you, Blanche? What's the matter?
I just can't stand it anymore, John. Night after night, I walk the floors and get into a state because you snore and brawl and snore and whine like a bulldozer. Is it any wonder I'm so irritable and ill-tempered? If Dr. Hershey won't encourage me and try to improve my nature and buoy me up, who will help me?
Nature boy.
Very funny. Oh, you're so funny, John.
I'm not funny.
And what about me? I haven't slept for so long, I'm a nervous wreck. I bury my head under the pillows to shut up your snoring. And when I get up every morning, I have a cramp in my collarbone.
Rub it with chicken fat.
Rub it with chicken fat. You and your stupid remedies. Huh. What you care what I go through?
Oh, Blanche, put out the light.
I will not. How would you like to go through life with a constant pain in the neck?
Well, I took you for better or worse. Yet to come.
That's right. Pile it on. Tell people I forced you into this marriage. Did I ever run after you?
Blanche, I want to sleep.
I did everything to deserve you, and you know it. Did I accept you the first time you proposed?
No,
Why not?
because you weren't there.
Go on. You wouldn't have the nerve to propose to anybody else. You sure took advantage of my innocence and youth.
Oh, don't give me that stuff. You're no spring chicken.
I must have been, or I would never have picked up a worm like you.
Why don't you go to sleep?
It's a different story now, isn't it? Never a kind word, never a sign of affection, never a good night kiss. And to think you used to kiss me every time I turned around.
I never kissed you when you turned around.
I've been a trusting fool all these years. I should have known you don't love me. You never did.
I did too. I mean, I do too.
You don't.
Oh, Blanche, I love you.
You're lying. Swear you love me.
I hope to drown in a pool of bourbon if I'm lying.
There's the answer to all our problems. You think more of a bottle of bourbon than you do of me. It's true, isn't it, John?
What's true?
You're in love with a bottle of bourbon.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Go on, say it. I can stand the truth. Just give it to me straight.
It's better with soda.
Don't try and switch things around. You know you indulge in it more than what is absolutely necessary. No other wife would put up with a thing like that.
Now, just a minute, Blanche. I resent that.
I don't care.
You can accuse me of being selfish or inconsiderate or anything else, but drinking is not one of my failures.
No, it's one of your few successes.
That is not true. I don't drink more than any 6 men you know.
Huh?
Now you cracked me into that. The only reason I use bourbon is because the doctor prescribed it. He said I would stop snoring if I took a jigger of bourbon and 2 aspirins before I went to bed tonight.
That's not what you do, though.
It is.
It is not. You're 6 months behind on the aspirin and 2 years ahead on the bourbon.
Well, the aspirin give me a headache.
You'd better listen to me, John. We get along beautifully if you think of me once in a while. If there's an extra dollar in the house, it goes for your pleasure. Only 2 weeks ago, you had your life insured for $10,000.
What about it?
You're always thinking about yourself.
Myself? Now, what kind of idiotic talk is that, Blanche? If I die, you get 10,000.
You know perfectly well you have no intention of dying. You only got your life insured to tantalize me.
I'll drop dead in the morning.
You say it, but you won't do it.
Blanche, what's the matter with you? Do you realize what you're saying?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Just calm down. Try to get some sleep.
I can't sleep. I'm too upset. You can't stand the sight of me, can you, John?
I can stand it fine.
I'd like to hear you talk that way to Gloria Gooseby.
Oh, now don't start with Gloria Gooseby.
Anybody could be pretty with the money she spends on clothes. Every time her husband wants a kiss, he has to buy her a dress. Believe me, you're lucky you've got a cheap wife like me. If you were married to Gloria Gooseby, you'd have to pay her for kisses.
I'm not married to her, and I get them for nothing. And I hate Gloria Gooseby. I'm warning you, Blanche. If I ever hear you mention her name again, I'll...
That's right, hit me. You've done everything else.
Oh, for heaven's sake, Blanche, will you please put out the light? I have to get up so early in the morning. Good night.
Are you angry, John?
No, I'm just sick.
Do you hate me?
You know I do. I mean, I don't hate you, Blanche. What's the matter with you tonight? What have you done?
I've been so upset. I forgot to give you something. It came for you yesterday.
A letter?
Special delivery and registered. It was addressed to you and marked strictly personal and private.
Oh, what did it say?
You needn't be so snide about it, John. I wouldn't have read it, but I accidentally steamed it over when I was pouring myself a cup of tea.
Let me see it.
You can read it in the morning. Go to sleep.
I want to read it now. Put the lights on and give it to me.
Oh, all right. Here it is.
Oh, from the government.
Good night, John.
Mr. John Bickerson. Sir, in checking your return for 1946, we find you have overpaid your taxes. Enclosed, find a check for $75.50. Well, say, what a break. I finally got it, Blanche.
Huh?
Where's the check?
Uh-huh.
Oh, don't act sleepy now. What did you do with my $76?
I bought a beautiful Evan handbag. It's sharkskin trimmed with snakeskin and it matches my calfskin shoes.
$76 for a shark skin snake? Take it back. Take it back. Do you hear me?
Stop screaming.
How could you squander my hard-earned money like this? I deny myself everything. I've been cutting the scraps off your old garter belts and wearing them for bow ties. I had my feet hand-soled in a blacksmith just to save on shoes. I don't even drink my bourbon anymore. I just lick the label and stick my nose in the bottle. I don't spend a nickel on myself.
You bought a new watch chain yesterday.
What watch chain? The zipper came off my pants. You get that money back. You hear me?
How can you do that, John? You didn't buy me anything for our anniversary. Can I keep it, please?
No.
Please.
Oh, what's the use?
Can I keep the bag, John?
How I slave and sweat to bring money and soul together. Deprive myself of every tiny luxury to try and make both ends meet. It isn't worth it. One fatal swoop and she squanders 2 years' savings. What's a man got to live for? I wish I had the courage. Maybe I will. Life means nothing anymore. That's one thing to do.
John?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning in, that was the Bickersons, the tax refund on Gila Members Community Radio, KURU 89.1 FM, Silver City, New Mexico, online at gmcr.org. My name is Wendy Spurgeon, and you are listening to Silver City Community Theater Radio Hour with an homage to the golden age of radio. Bravo, and brava to our players Mel Gelb, Liz Michaels, Greg Bond, and Monty Valenzuela. And if you didn't know, Silver City Community Theater is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Donations made are tax deductible and very welcome at www.silvercitycommunitytheater.com. If you love what you're up to, if you'd like to support us as we begin to stretch out, broaden our talent pool, do some more trainings, and start to open up for live performances, perhaps even as early as this summer. You are the community in community theater. So your donation in any amount makes a big difference. So if community theater's made a difference in your life, you can make a difference in the life of this community theater. That's what we are. SCCT is committed to promoting community theater opportunities for residents of Southwest New Mexico in all aspects of theater, stage work, publicity, acting, and costuming. Our objective is to enrich, educate, and entertain with a vibrant range of live theater experiences year-round. And we're optimistic that as more people are receiving vaccinations, we'll be able to offer live theater performances, workshops, and casting opportunities in our community. And in the meantime, keep tuning in each week at this time for our next radio plays here on KURU 89.1 FM. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Silver City Community Theater Radio Hour. I'm Wendy Spurgeon, your hostess here with weekly radio theater entertainment, meticulously edited by Chris Wellman of Mystic Way Productions and featuring the fresh, locally sourced talent of Silver City Community Theater and beyond, right here at Gila Members Community Radio, KURU 89.1 FM, Silver City, New Mexico, online at gmcr.org. Have a great day. Bye for now. See you next week.